I'm Rob Vetter of the IVES Training Group, and today I'm going to take you through a basic introduction of a variable reach rough terrain forklift, otherwise known as a telehandler. This boom telescopes in and out. That's where the machine gets its name, telehandler. Right? It's a telescopic material handler. Right? Telehandler. This hub here is called a planetary gear hub. There's actually a set of gears in there, and since there's gears, there's lubrication. The forks here are free, right, to come away at the heel like that, and that's a real important as an operator thing to take note of. I'll demonstrate a 3-point mount. There's 1 point, there's 2, and there's 3. Right? We'll just haul ourselves up. We use our boom angle indicator. We use the graduation markers on the boom as it extends. Right, and we use that to figure out how much we can lift. Now right there I can see my mirror, right, and I've got a lot of clarity out the side there now. Watch those forks come away at the heel from the carriage. I'm going to check the frame tilt. Right, remember 10 degrees in either direction. So let's go ahead and do that. Now you see when I turn, all the wheels are going in the same direction. Right, so you can move this machine kind of sideways on a diagonal. It really is a unique machine that requires quite a bit of time in the seat to get used to those steer modes, cab tilt, boom angle, and then of course there's the whole world of figuring out your load capacity based on what configuration you're in. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to stop short of the load and set my outriggers. Now I could just drive right in from here, but I really want to demonstrate the use of those outriggers. Good. And I'm just level there. Okay, now like I said, I'm going to pick up that blue pallet that's kind of halfway down there. Now, one of the things you have to remember when you drive a telehandler is whatever angle your boom is on, as you extend out, the carriage and the whole lifting assembly is going to follow that angle. So as I extend out here, you're going to see that it actually goes up as well. I'm kind of aiming for that blue pallet about 6 down from the stack there. See how the forks are going up as they travel out? It looks like I'm a bit low there, so I'm just going to do this. I don't know if my forks are in there right now. You see how, look, if I keep going, I'm going to miss that pallet. I'm going to go right above it, so I'm going to have to lower down a bit. There we go, and right in there. Oops, now see how I've engaged. It's a little tricky when you're moving, little pallets like this. Now I also have to be careful here that I don't stab the wall behind, so I'm a little worried about that. I'm not going to go all the way in. I'm actually going to tilt, or I'm actually going to lift up a bit now and tilt the stack there, and I'm going to retract the boom. Okay, I'm all the way back. I'm going to lower it down. I'm going to get in position and put them on that tall stack just to the left. Now once again, I'm a little higher now, so I'm going to stop right there. Now, it doesn't look like I'm high enough, but remember, by the time I extend out there, the whole lifting mechanism is going to be that much higher up. See now, see how it's going out? It's going up and out. And I think I might just sneak by there. Look at that. Not bad, huh? Okay, now I'm just going to level it out here, or actually tilt forward a bit because I'm going to lower it. I think I'm pretty good there. Okay, see if I can lower it down. You have to be really careful here. There we go. Now, this is the tricky part. See, now normally if I could just back away with the machine, my forks would come straight out of there, but I'm up on my outriggers. I can't move my machine right now. So I have to retract away and out of that load. That means as I retract back, the forks are going to come down, right? So I got to be really wary of that because I don't want my forks catching. See now they're a little catching already. See that? So I got to kind of ease it out of there and do a little bit of jibbing back and forth here. There, you see that? Okay, now I'm good. I'm clear. Okay, like I was mentioning from the cab when we were moving some loads around, something to be really aware of is the angle of that boom when you're moving in and out. If you can imagine the boom when it's straight like so and you extend out, well, the forks and carriage or the lifting assembly is going to go straight out because the boom is straight. But as soon as you go up on an angle like this, when you extend out, you're not only extending away, but you're also traveling upward. So if you have to fit into an opening in a pallet with big thick forks like this, it can get pretty tricky, right? It's not just because you're not just moving straight in and out, you're moving in at an angle. Now, like I say, I set the outriggers here so that you could see. Normally I wouldn't even have to use the outriggers for moving some empty pallets. But if you're set like that on riggers, you have to be very, very aware that you can't necessarily move the machine. So that boom angle is very important, and just as important, if not more, when you're coming out of a load. If you want to get out of that load clean, right? Like I say, if you could just back the machine up, great, you come straight out. But if you're going to retract, look at the angle of my arm here as if it were a boom. As that comes down, or down, it's coming lowering onto the pallet, right? So you have to kind of be, well, kind of doing two things at once on the control. You have to be kind of raising the boom and retracting it as you go so that the forks withdraw cleanly. So just a real kind of unique thing about operating a telehandler.
One of the biggest assets to job site productivity is the efficient movement of material and use of work tools. The mobility of the VersaHandler telescopic tool carrier, its lifting capacity and height, and the use with different attachments means you, the operator, need to be knowledgeable on the operation of the VersaHandler. Remember that these machines drive and handle differently than automobiles or other types of wheel loaders. Throughout this video, we will be using these safety alert symbols that will alert you and emphasize danger. An extremely hazardous situation exists which will result in a high probability of death or serious injury if the proper precautions are not taken. Warning: a hazard exists which can result in serious injury or death if the proper precautions are not taken. Watch for these safety alert symbols and messages. You will also see them in various manuals such as the Operation and Maintenance Manual, the Safety Manual, and the Bobcat Operator's Handbook. This symbol points out actions you should avoid to reduce the potential for serious injury or death and damage to other property. Understand these instructions before you operate the machine. Inspect your machine daily, including verification that the load capacity charts, warning and instruction decals are in place and readable. Check the mirrors for proper adjustment, and keep the windows clean for good visibility. The condition of the tires is important for machine stability. Look for cracks or cuts. Refer to the manufacturer's manual for information about approved tires, and make sure all tires are properly inflated. Make an overall inspection for cracked welds, metal fatigue, broken parts, and fluid leaks. Never use forks that have been modified, and do not carry or lift loads that exceed the combined capacities stamped on each fork. Make sure the attachment is securely attached. Never fill the fuel tank with the engine running, or while near an open flame, or when smoking. Know where the fire extinguishers are kept on the worksite. Check for proper fluid levels, including engine oil, hydraulic oil, and engine coolant. A walk around the worksite allows you to see the conditions you will encounter during operation. Check for overhead power lines. Contact with electrically charged wires is dangerous and will result in serious injury or death. Excavations, slopes, drop-offs, underground culverts, loose backfill, and fuel supplies stored on the worksite need to be identified and avoided or dealt with properly. Remember, safe operation is the responsibility of the operator. Taking charge of your safety means starting the workday with the right attitude, good physical condition, proper personal protection equipment, and a machine properly equipped and maintained for the job. Don't take chances. Your safety, as well as those around you, is at stake. Always maintain a three-point contact when entering or exiting. Grab handles and steps are provided for safety. An emergency exit from the cab is also provided. Fastening the seatbelt is not an option when operating a rough terrain forklift. It is a requirement for proper restraint. Adjust the seat and seatbelt for comfort before starting the engine. Establish a routine that you follow each time the machine is started. This routine should include ensuring that the transmission selector lever and all other control levers are in neutral. The parking brake is fully engaged. and that no one is standing between the wheels and frame, or in front of or behind the machine. The fork carriage and attachment should be resting on the ground. Adjust and clean the mirrors and windows as necessary. And check the visibility completely around the machine. Make sure the right cab window is installed for operator protection from boom movement. When a low battery cannot start the engine, follow the operation and maintenance manual for recommended practices that include jump starting from another power source. Be aware that batteries can create explosive gases. In no case should the machine be pushed or pulled to be started. Hydraulic and drive functions, including steering, brakes, and boom controls, are dependent on the engine for power. Check the machine's controls to make sure they work properly before operation. Never check for hydraulic leaks when the engine is running. Pressurized hydraulic fluid can penetrate the skin, causing serious injury or death. So use a piece of cardboard when checking for leaks. The ability of the Telehandler to lift is based on the principle of two weights balanced on either side of a pivot point. Factors affecting this balance are the weight of the machine, the load to be lifted, and the center of gravity. The center of gravity is the single point about which the machine is balanced in all directions. The stability of the Telehandler is determined by the location of its center of gravity, or if the machine is loaded, by the combined center of gravity. Improper operation of the machine can also affect its stability. Because the Telehandler has moving parts, the center of gravity moves as the boom moves forward or backward, up and down, or even when the forks or other attachments are tilted forward and backward. This is true whether loaded or unloaded. Surface conditions, the type of tire and tire pressure can all affect overall machine stability, along with dynamic forces such as acceleration, braking, turning, and operating on inclines. Remember, when traveling on the worksite, always drive with the boom low and fully retracted, and to always fasten your seatbelt. Allow for adequate clearance in front of and behind the machine when turning. When lifting loads, insert the forks all the way under the load to keep the load center close to the machine. Inspect the load for stability and check to see that the load is evenly distributed. Place heavier items on mixed loads nearer the fork carriage. Never lift an unbalanced load. It may be necessary to secure the load prior to lifting. Remember, when lifting loads or using attachments, refer to load capacity charts provided. Use only attachments approved by Bobcat Company. Never exceed the rated load capacity. This can cause the machine to tip, causing serious injury or death. Your machine may be equipped with an attachment change feature that allows attachments to be changed without using tools. Follow the instructions for securing the attachment found in your operation and maintenance manual. After connecting the attachment, check that it is securely attached. In congested areas, be aware of your surroundings and keep to the right when traveling on roadways. Follow all local rules and regulations. Look in the direction of travel for bystanders, objects, and other equipment. Keep bystanders and other workers away from the boom when lifting. The boom could suddenly drop or a load could fall, causing serious injury or death. Never allow riders on the attachment or the machine. Start slowly and check the brakes and steering. Operate the machine smoothly with no jerky movements, which could cause the load to shift or fall off the attachment. Carry the load as low as possible and tilt the load backward to prevent it from shifting. Travel slowly with the boom fully retracted. Avoid sloping ground if possible, and do not drive on excessively steep slopes. When ascending or descending slopes, keep the load or heavy end uphill. When unloaded, travel with the forks or attachment downhill. If you must drive on a slope, keep the load low and proceed slowly. Avoid turning on an incline, and if you must, keep the turn wide and slow. If you feel the machine tipping, stay in your seat with the seatbelt fastened. Brace yourself and lean away from the impact point. Do not attempt to jump. Make sure that the surface can support the full weight of the VersaHandler and load. The ground must be firm and level under all 4 tires. Do not attempt to lift a load if the machine is on an incline. It can tip over, causing serious injury or death. Make sure that the structure you are placing the load on can support its weight. Position the machine so that the load can be placed using the load controls. Never drive a VersaHandler with the boom raised to place a load. Put the machine's transmission selector lever in neutral and engage the parking brake. Use the boom's telescoping feature and forward movement to gently position the load. Always look at the load to ensure there are adequate clearances. Feather the controls by partially opening them. Never move the levers abruptly. Reverse this procedure to retract the boom, and remember to withdraw the forks slowly. Lower the boom and check that the work area is clear before you slowly back away. When backing away, avoid soft soil conditions or drop-offs. Special worksite situations require extra caution, such as when entering a building. Allow time for your eyes to adjust to different lighting conditions. Overhead clearance must be checked with the boom in the carry position. Under very windy conditions, extra precautions may need to be taken to secure the load. Remember, the telescopic handler should never be used as a man lift or work platform. Park the machine on solid level ground. Always place the transmission selector lever in neutral. Engage the parking brake. Lower the fork carriage. And turn the ignition switch off. Never leave the cab with the engine running or the parking brake not engaged. When parking on a slope, engage the brake and chock the wheels. When loading the VersaHandler on a transport vehicle or trailer, use ramps of adequate strength. Once the machine is loaded, lower the boom, engage the brake, and remove the key. Secure the machine properly using tie downs. It's impossible to cover every situation you could encounter on the job. Be aware of the safety alert symbols and obey all warning signs to avoid injury or death. The Operation and Maintenance Manual is still the best source for information about operation and maintenance. Becoming a proficient VersaHandler operator requires knowledge, skill, and good judgment. Be that kind of operator.